Hello there. Come on in, get comfortable. I'm so glad you're here. We're just going to take our time today and have a nice, friendly chat about some of this new technology. There's absolutely no rush. And I mean that. If you've got a moment, go on and grab a cup of tea or maybe some coffee. This isn't a class. Think of it more like we're just sitting at the kitchen table, figuring things out together. All right, ready? So, the best way to get our heads around these new digital assistants is to stop thinking of them as some sort of magical butler and start thinking of them more like a new neighbor. Someone helpful who just moved in down the street. And of course, just like with any new neighbor, before we even get into the helpful stuff they can do, we have to talk about the most important thing first. And that's making sure you feel safe and that your privacy is protected. That always, always comes first. This is where that neighbor idea really helps. Think about it. You might ask a good neighbor for some advice, maybe some ideas for the garden, or help with a simple question. But you would never, ever hand them the keys to your safe deposit box, right? Or your banking passwords. It's the exact same common sense here. This is a wonderful tool for getting ideas and answers, but your private, important information, well, that always stays private. So let's talk for a minute about why all of this feels so different from the computers we're used to. For the longest time, it's felt like we had to learn how to speak their language, didn't it? Well, that's finally starting to change. Oh, I'm sure you remember the feeling, trying to get a computer to do one simple thing, and if you didn't click the exact right pixel or type the perfect command, it would just stare back at you. It was like being lost in a giant library and having to find one specific book with no help at all. So frustrating. Well, the new way is so much nicer. Imagine walking into that same library, only now there's a friendly librarian waiting for you at the front desk. A librarian who's already read every single book in the building and is just happy to give you a quick summary. That's the feeling we're going for now. Some people use a fancy term for this. They call it Human-Centric Tech. But really, all that means is that the technology is finally learning to understand us instead of making us learn to understand it. You don't have to speak computer anymore. You can just talk, just like we are right now. So you're probably wondering, okay, but how does it do that? I promise you, we are not going to get technical here. In fact, you've probably already seen a simpler version of this process 100 times. When you're typing a message on your phone, and you type something like, "see you at," and then the phone suggests the word home or 3? That's all it is. It's just predicting what the most helpful next word might be. We're just taking that simple idea and making it a little bigger. And this is really the most important part to remember. The assistant isn't thinking or feeling the way a person does. Not at all. It's just an incredibly fast organizer. It looks at your question and then predicts the most helpful words to put together for an answer based on all the information it has access to. It's a lightning-fast prediction machine. All right, so we've talked about what this thing is, and we have a simple idea of how it works. Now, let's walk through how you can have your very first chat. And remember, we're doing this together. It's okay if this feels new. Take all the time you need. It really just comes down to 4 easy steps. First, just have a look at your device and find a button that might say Help or Assist. Second, we'll start off with a really simple request, nothing tricky. Third, and this is a great one, we'll learn how to ask it to make the answer simpler if you need it to. And last, we'll ask it about your privacy directly. So what in the world do you say first? Well, let's take all the pressure off. Here is a perfect, easy thing to say. Just ask it. I want to learn how to use you. Can you explain what you do best in 3 short sentences? See? That lets the assistant introduce itself to you on your terms. Now, this next part is my favorite because it proves you are always in control. If it ever gives you an answer that's just too complicated or full of jargon, you can just say, "That was a bit much. Can you explain it like I'm 80 years old?" It's a wonderful little trick. It tells the assistant to be simple, clear, and to the point. You are always, always in charge of the conversation. As we get ready to wrap up, there's one last thought I want to leave you with. It's the most important idea from our whole chat today, and it's all about who's really in charge here. You are the conductor, and the assistant is the orchestra. Now, the orchestra might have all the instruments and know how to play all the notes, but it doesn't do a thing until you give the signal. It waits for you. You pick the music, you set the pace. This is a tool, and it's there to help you. So I guess the only thing left to think about is, whenever you feel ready, in your own time, what's the first question you'd like to ask? Thank you so much for spending this time with me today.